What's going on YouTube? I'm just going to get the Facebook launched up. Maybe I'll turn that light a little brighter too. What's up, Facebook? I'm here on YouTube, Facebook. Thank you to everybody on Telegram who saw this. I gave a 15 minutes heads up, t.me/StreamRareChat or search StreamRareChat. I want to talk about today Facebook, excuse me, fact check my communism video. I did a video on Pitbull and how he was talking about communism and the similarities to what they're doing during the shutdown. And I got fact checked. And I don't really care besides the fact that they use these fact checks against me to try to demonetize me, cut my reach, and shut my page down. And I did some deep dive and research into it. I'm going to share it with you. But the agency that did the fact check on me is from France. I looked up the guy who runs the US operations on it, and he's this total anti-Trump activist who is totally biased and totally a goofball. And he can't even get a like or a retweet on his own post. So I'm going to just do a whole deep dive on I got fact checked, what the fact checker article said, who the agency is who's fact checking me from France, and who the guy who runs the US department is. I'm not going to go into his whole life. It's just public info of like, I run this operation. I went to his public Twitter. The dude is a total joke. So we're going to go through it today. And as everybody's getting in, I want to share you something. The first one's going to be for YouTube. The second one's going to be for Facebook because it has a different way it screens it. So I know it's going to be backwards now. And this is for YouTube. Can you read that? Read what it says right there, and then I'm going to read it along. It says, "Don't go down the rabbit hole," says the New York Times. "Critical thinking, as we're taught to do it, isn't fighting misinformation." So this one's going to be for Facebook real quick. You see this, Facebook? It says, "Don't go down the rabbit hole." New York Times. I printed it out. "Critical thinking, as we're taught to do it, isn't helping the fight against misinformation." They're telling you openly on the New York Times not to critically think. Critically thinking is bad. Opinion. Don't go down the rabbit hole. No, the problem when people do go down the rabbit hole is they stop critically thinking. It's like if someone watches CNN and they stop critically thinking, that's the bad part. Someone watches Fox News and they stop critically thinking, that's the bad part. If somebody follows conspiracy theories on YouTube and stops critically thinking, the bad part is when you stop critically thinking because you just blindly believe anything. But the New York Times, they're not even hiding it anymore. They're saying, don't critically think. As we're taught to do it, critically thinking is not good. Don't think about anything, but just believe critical race theory without critical thinking. That's what they want you to do. These people are such a joke. It's insane. But I'm going to try to calm down. I'm going to drink my coffee, which is the opposite of calming down. And I'm going to do a deep dive on, the Pitbull video. Got millions of views. Got almost 1 million on Instagram, almost 1 million on Facebook, almost over 100,000, 200,000 around on YouTube. A lot of people copied my video and just copy pasted it, which is fine. It doesn't really matter to me. It'd be nice if they tagged me, but whatever. And of course, it got so much traction that they had to reel it in because now you have millions of people learning about communism, not through the lens of me, but through the lens of a Cuban immigrant who went through it and escaped it. And somebody let's be honest, Pitbull is one of the biggest music artists in the world. And he has a crossover into Latin America, unlike maybe anybody besides like Daddy Yankee and a few other Hispanic artists. So it's like, one of the biggest artists in the world telling people about communism, spilling the gates on Event 201 and what was going on there and giving their perspective on it. Of course, they had to fact check it. They even used my picture of my channel in the article. So that's what the story is going to be about. You know me, I do my research. So I said, who is this organization? What country controls them? Who's running the US division? And what's the person about? It's an insane story. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to enjoy my coffee. Someone said, "Anomaly, I love you, dude. Truly, I do, but please getting effing haircut." Even Roseanne agrees. I asked her when you should. Bro, you just typed it 3 times. All right, we're having a good time. My hair looks fantastic today. I'm not trying to brag, but I'm just saying it looks good. I didn't even shower today. I just woke up like this. But in general, it's like you're a grown man, I'm guessing. Your name's Anthony. I'm guessing you're probably over 20 or 30. Maybe you're like 50. And you're in my chat. We're having a great time. You're like, get your haircut. I might get it buzzed off tomorrow. I might grow it out down to my feet just to tick you off. It's like we got more pressing issues here, bro. If you're a grown man, worry about your wife. If you don't have a wife, worry about your girlfriend. If you don't have a girlfriend, start browsing the market and see what you can find out there. And if none of that works, maybe self-reflect and be like, am I in grown man chats online and just telling them to cut their hair? It's like, what do you look like? Upload a profile picture, bro. I'm sure you're no Brad Pitt over there, but whatever. Let's see who we got on Facebook. It's like, I don't care. People have opinions. It's fine. It's like some people say, cut your hair, don't cut your hair. It doesn't matter if you say, hey, cut your hair, whatever. Don't cut. But if you're a grown man spamming 3 times, getting effing haircut, get a haircut, get a hair. It's like, bro, who are you? Like, calm down. It's like, what a weirdo. You should join AFP with these fact checkers. You like fact check. Like, it's like, dude, you're like spazzing. Could you imagine? I don't know. Listen, we all have our vices. We all have our sins. But it's like, could you imagine waking up, going into another man's like chat and like spamming 3 times in all caps, like cursing, telling him to get a haircut? I just couldn't imagine that life. But I have my own problems. Let's be honest. I'm no angel. But in general, it's like, what are you doing with your life, bro? Anthony, you're the star of the show now for being a weirdo. All right. So the story of the day is, actually, before I start, I have something funny. I know Ted Cruz. I don't want to spill the beans, but I'm going to spill the beans. I know Ted Cruz was in Cancun because I saw this picture. He's got the cornrows on. They don't braid them that tight in America. So he done played himself, came back with the cornrows and said, you know, I wasn't in Cancun. I was in Cancun, Texas. It's a town outside of Fort Worth. Bro, you played yourself with the curl. No, I'm just kidding. That's fact check. That's a joke. Comedy, humor, opinion, perspective. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to lighten the mood a little bit before we get into some serious stuff. So I'm sorry, Facebook. I apologize, Arthur from AFP Fact Checker. I'm so sorry, bro. Please forgive me. You're the greatest. You're so smart. Oh my goodness. Tell me how to be so cool like you. All right. So I checked my Facebook notifications and it said fact check. And I'm like, I'm so clean and clear with what I'm saying. And I'm so careful with what I post. I'm like, what in the world could they have possibly fact checked me for? Because I'm more careful than anybody, even mainstream media. So I see that they fact checked my Communism Pitbull video. And I was like, what the? I saw somebody do the Jesse Lee Peterson. What the? I said that. So I go to it. It says AFP fact check. So before I read it, I'm thinking to myself, I always say, who are these people? Who is this company that's allowed to just supersede my video, which is fantastic, and put some crappy fact checker article from some guy who probably is half the journalist or analyst that I am? You know, it's like they got to over. So I look it up and it says AFP, Agency France Presse, is an international news agency headquartered in Paris, France. Founded in 1835. It's the world's oldest news agency. So I'm in the United States of America. I'm supposed to have the First Amendment. I'm being fact checked by a French fact checker, one of the world's oldest agencies. A French agency can fact check my video about communism in America. Tell me that doesn't reek of communism. Communism, by the way, of course, if you're liberal, you're like, oh my God, we're all going to just plant plants and we're all going to share them because that's what Karl Marx told me. Now, if you read the Communist Manifesto, it's total control of transportation in the hands of the state. Total control of communication in the hands of the state. Total control of banking in the hands of the state. Karl Marx was a con artist. He's like, hey guys, if you give me everything, I'll give it back to the workers. No, he's not going to give it back, folks. You don't get power by consolidating power into the hands of the government. That's how you lose everything. And that's what's happening. But anyway, so okay, I'm getting fact checked by a French agency. Okay, so then I go in and I'm like, who? And then I'm going to read the fact checker too because it's hilarious. I'm like, who runs the U.S. department? So I come up with Arthur McMillan. Arthur McMillan works with fact checkers to identify and edit stories that counter misinformation. Wow, Arthur, you're such a cool guy. And once again, this is all public information. It's on the AFP website. I'm not like going after this guy. I'm just reading. I'm like, who's fact checking me? Who runs this department? So I go to his Twitter. He's got a public Twitter with like a couple thousand followers, got a blue check mark. And he has the most pathetic Twitter feed I've ever seen in my life. No offense, but the dude's posting certain things and he's getting 0 likes and 0 shares. Folks, some of you guys have a couple hundred friends and family members on Facebook. You guys are getting 2 likes, 3 likes, 5 likes, 20 likes. Some of you guys are superstars getting 50 likes. Some of you get no likes, and that's okay. We've all been there. But this dude's like one of the most powerful people in the fact checker agency in the world. And he can't even get a single like or a retweet. Like he doesn't even have a friend or a family member. If I was that pathetic, I would just pay somebody to just sit on Twitter and like my post. I'm like, bro, I'll pay you $100 a week. Find some college kid. Be like, dude, just, it'll be a stipend or an internship. Just like my post. So I at least have 1 like. The dude's posting stuff with 0 likes. How is it even possible to be this unpopular? You're the most powerful guy at the AFP United States Division Fact Checker Agency, but you're so unlikable to even your own friends and family members that you can't even get a single like on Twitter. Red flag alert. This guy's on a power trip. I'm just going to read some of his posts on Twitter. This one has 0 likes and 0 retweets, which is pathetic. It says the demolition can be seen here at Atlantic City webcam around 9 a.m. So he's talking about Trump's, tower getting, or his casino in Atlantic City getting demolished. He's saying a nut graph, if I ever saw one, responding to, somebody smearing the death of Rush Limbaugh, saying he was a controversial as he was influential, voting racist, sexist, homophobic. The dude's a total left-wing, activist. His takes are terrible. He's retweeting articles that say, does yoga have a conspiracy theory problem? And the author of that article, Josh, says, the feedback I've had on this story has been overwhelmingly positive, but the trolling is quite something huge. Respect to any journals out there covering the disinfo beat. And then he retweets and says every single day. So I guess this guy's getting harassed every single day. It's like, bro, you have no friends who even like your posts half the time. You're retweeting articles saying that yoga has a conspiracy problem. And then you're complaining about being cyberbullied when you're the head cyberbully in the country. You work at one of the most powerful agencies in the world that's headquartered in France to shut down accounts that are a million times more popular than you with stupid analysis articles that if you had your own merit and you didn't work for a big agency, no one would care about you because we see right now nobody cares about you. So it's like you're the biggest cyberbully. As the journalist strikes you, they cry out in pain. Censor, 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 censor. Oh no, I'm being cyberbullied. Oh, I wonder why. I only work for a French agency just writing stupid articles. It's like, bro, you're such a victim. But anyway, I'm going to get to the article now. I'm not saying he wrote it, but he's just the head of the U.S. agency. I just find it hilarious that he can't even he's got certain statuses with no likes and no retweets. And I got, grandmas that are 80 years old that barely know how to use the internet that can get 2 to 3 likes on their posts. It's like, bro, how unlikable are you? Anyway, this is the fact checker article that they include my posts in. U.S. rapper Pitbull falsely claims COVID-19 pandemic was planned. Okay. In a video clip viewed by hundreds of thousands of times, you could thank me for that because mine got a lot of views. I think a couple million actually, but it's all right. So right off the gate, they're wrong. It says it's been viewed a couple hundreds of thousands of times. Just on my own channels, it's been viewed over 1 million times. Just on mine. I have like 700,000 views on, and I don't want to brag because then they're going to come after me. But it's like first line in the fact checker article is a literal provable lie. Do I get to run an agency in France and fact check these idiots who can't even do their research to figure out it got more than 100,000 views? Got over 1 million views. Like, it's been viewed a couple 100,000 times. Actually, no, it's not. So right off the fact check false, fact check you're a liar, fact check you're an agency in France, fact check your North America division guy is so unpopular, his friends don't even like some of his posts. All right, so let's keep going. Pitbull speaks on the rehearsal of Event 201 and how COVID-19 was planned out. Reads the text shared by a clip of Armando Christian Perez, known professionally as Pitbull, discussing the pandemic in February 6th. So they include a thing that I never even said. And they said more examples of the video can be found on Facebook and YouTube. Here, and on Twitter. And one of them's mine. Of course, it has the most views. You're welcome. Some versions of the video contain a watermark that makes it clear footage. I don't know. I'm not reading that. That's a boring. So then they say, in it, the rapper calls the current situation a scamdemic, a plandemic, and references previously debunked claims as evidence that the global pandemic was planned. So they're saying it's debunked that it was planned. And then they talk about Event 201, and basically they're just making excuses. They're saying Event 201 was held in October 2019, but the organizers have repeatedly dismissed claims that the exercise predicted the current pandemic. So they're trying to say it wasn't planned, and they didn't predict the event. So let's just look up what the word plan means, because the people at AFP are a little slow. They're overpaid. They're not impressive. They're probably all left-wing. Plan, here's all the definitions of plan: a detailed proposal for doing or achieving something, an intention or decision about what one is going to do, deciding on to arrange in advance, or design or make a plan. So by definition, the word plan, Event 201 was a plan. If it wasn't a plan, they wouldn't do it. Why would they do it? You think they're just doing it for fun? No, it's a plan. If there is a pandemic, we're going to try to be prepared. That's what they did. They planned, I don't know that they exactly knew that this was going to happen, but yes, they planned for a coronavirus pandemic. That's why they did a coronavirus pandemic plan. It's not Pitbull's theory. It's like a fact. It's like, it's debunked. We claim that that's not what they did. No, that's exactly what they did. It's debatable that they knew. I'm not saying they knew it was going to come exactly like in 3 months, but That's what Event 201 was. Johns Hopkins University, just like he said, maybe he overstated it in their opinion, but I'm doing analysis on my video. I'm playing his clip the same way that the media plays Trump clips. They play a Trump clip and say, this is what Trump really said. This is what I think he said. How come they're allowed to do it? I do the same thing. I play a Pitbull clip and I say, here's what Pitbull said. Here's what I think. I don't think the exact same thing as Pitbull, but we have overlap, and that's what I say. I say, well, he said this. This is what I think. Here's what he said. I do the same thing that they do, but Arthur Macmillan and his band of merry fact checkers from France, I guess, can just supersede my thing and try to say that Event 201 wasn't a plan when it was a plan. We're not saying that they definitely knew, but it's kind of suspicious. I think people should be able to question these things because this is what we're talking about in the video. Communism, one of the main things besides abolishing private property and abolishing family and abolishing a religion, one of the main cornerstones of communism via the Communist Manifesto, you could fact check me on it because I've read it already and I've highlighted it and I've probably read it like 3 times now because I do it for so many videos. It talks about consolidating all communication. So in communism, you're not allowed to disagree. You're not allowed to communicate without the powers that be superseding you and correcting your conversation. So you're being a communist, shutting down a conversation about communism. You think that it wasn't, they had no insight on it. But why would they be planning if they didn't think it was going to happen? They knew something was probably going to happen eventually. So you could say it's a compliment. They're just getting ahead of the curve or whatever. I'm not saying that this or that, but I could have my opinion and you could have your opinion. And then they talk about all the CEOs stepping down. We need to be able to speculate or else these people are going to get away with whatever they want. But that's kind of, I think, what they're going for. So, for example, if you go back 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even recently, Bill Gates has always said one of the biggest threats facing humanity, besides climate change, he says, is a terroristic virus. He's said this so many times, and I've included it in videos. And every time I include it in videos, I get fact checked, even though I'm not saying it. I'm not the expert here. You know, I mean, I am probably better than Bill Gates in some senses, but maybe not. Okay, he's so smart. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I apologize. Please don't ruin my. All right. He says, you know, you got to look out for man-made viruses and terroristic viruses. That's a huge threat to humanity. I didn't say it. Bill Gates said it. So I play the clip. I'm not saying that's what COVID-19 was, but I'm just saying when a virus hits the world, China shuts down for a few months, they open up, their economy's soaring, our economy is declining. It's worth speculating. Where did this virus come from? It's totally acceptable because they're not even fully able to prove where it came from. They keep changing their theory. Did it come from a pangolin? Did it come from a bat? Did it come from a lab? Was it man-made? Was it intentionally released? Was it a mistake? Was it a total innocent problem? We'll never know because you're not allowed to talk about it. They don't allow you to question it, which doesn't mean it's right. It means the people who are controlling information have a monopoly on what you're allowed to think and say. And they're doing the same thing here. I don't know about Johns Hopkins and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Maybe they just saw, like everybody else saw, there was SARS and MERS. So they were doing Event 201 to just get ahead of the curve and have a plan. You know, maybe it was totally innocent and they just were like, we see this happening. It's better to have a plan. But I can't say what Pitbull's saying, but what I'm saying and what I said in my video is I think they overreacted to COVID-19 because they set this plan in place at Event 201. And they said, if a coronavirus pandemic happens, they're already programming all these people, Bill and Melinda, Johns Hopkins, World Economic Forum. They have all these world leaders there and all these leaders of big institutions and corporations. And they're doing this simulation called Event 201. And they're programming in people's heads, you know, when a coronavirus hits the world, a new one, here's what we're going to do. We're going to shut down travel. We're going to do this, just like Pitbull said. And they pretty much said, you know, they're planning in their heads for eventually a coronavirus to be very, very deadly. So this one came out, and I said even in my Pitbull video, if they actually listened instead of trying to censor it, I think they overreacted because they said the death rate was 3.4. I knew it wasn't 3.4 in March. I was right. World Health Organization was wrong. I have more foresight than them because I don't have all these, you know, special interests and stuff and plans. I'm just an honest person speculating. I knew that death rate was wrong. But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they knew it was coming, but when you have all these ideas of like, this is exactly what we're going to do when a coronavirus comes, they did exactly what they said they were going to do in Event 201. And I think it was an overreaction because the death rate was never that high. And if you compare certain countries that didn't lock down to certain countries that did lock down, you could see that locking down, they could censor me all they want. But I personally, as an American citizen with a First Amendment right that's slipping away, I don't think lockdowns have a beneficial effect. I think they have some pros, some cons, but I think the cons outweigh the pros. And if you look at countries and you look at states and you look at areas that didn't shut down, these drastic predictions of like millions of people dropping dead, tens of millions. I know millions of people died worldwide, but I'm talking about their huge curves and stuff. It never really happened. So you look at, I think it was Nepal. I can, let me just look up on my Twitter to be official. They decided to pretty much just fully open, and experts are shocked that it's not as bad as they said it was going to be. I'm just going to read real quick. I have it right here. It says, let me see. They went back to normal. It's as if this is The Guardian. It's as if there's no COVID. Nepal defies pandemic amid a broken economy. Cases appear low and sports venues are packed, but protests are on the rise as jobs are lost and personal debt soared. So they screwed over their country. They're all suffering because they just tanked their economy. They decided to open up, and there's no spike in cases. What do you know? Cases are going down, even though everything's packed. It says, I'm just going to read, this is The Guardian, came out recently. Traffic jams and soaring pollution levels are back. Political leaders are organizing mass rallies far more focused on fighting each other than the virus. If poor Nepalis are struggling with dire economic fallout from COVID-19 on the surface, at least it appears their daily life in the capital is back to normal. It's as if nothing happened. The nightclubs are crowded. Schools and colleges are reopening. And it says, it defies logic. And then if you go down, it says, instead, they predicted that there was going to be some huge boom in infection. The infection rate has fallen steadily from an average of 3,000 daily cases in October to 300 in January. Last week, Nepal recorded its first day since August without a COVID-related death. The number of cases are definitely going down. The hospital admission rate's very low. Overall, it seems the virus has been contained. Experts say it's difficult to pinpoint the reasons behind the country's apparently low rate of infection. It's because lockdowns don't work. The most sick I've ever been in my life is when I locked myself in my house. Once I started getting a social life and going to get a cup of coffee and walking around, I haven't been sick in 3 or 4 years. It's not healthy to lock people inside. And it's this fictional, lockdowns are really healthy. No, suicide goes up. Opioid abuse goes up. Hundreds of thousands of excess deaths of tuberculosis are confirmed because they're diverting attention away from what they normally do. Cancer screenings are missed. People can't go to urgent care. The amount of cons to a lockdown are astronomical. I could name like 50. I mean, obesity's up. People are smoking more, drinking more. It's mentally destroying the country, economically destroying the country. And if you watch, I'm going to post a video later. It's of Nixon versus, Kennedy. It's a debate that they have on YouTube. They're talking about the economy. They're talking about communism. They know that if our economy suffers to China and Russia, our whole country goes down the drain. And that's what the pandemic did. And that's what me and Pitbull are trying to say. And you guys are censoring us like literal communists because that's what they're becoming, just total control of information. So it's such a joke, but they've brainwashed people into thinking slavery is some sort of scientific advancement. I mean, social distancing is also known as isolation, forced government isolation. That's the mean name for it. The nice name for it is social distancing. Yeah, you're forcing people into isolation. You're forcing people not to go enjoy sports games while you replace them with artificial intelligence, fake crowd noises, Zoom calls. I mean, this is like a dystopian nightmare. And the craziest part is if you call it for what it is, they say, oh, no, fact check. You're wrong. This is not communism. Oh, no, we didn't plan it. No, you planned the response to it. It's debatable where the virus came from. It's a debate you're not allowed to have. They won't let you have it, but it is still debatable, and they are still very sketchy. China didn't allow the World Health Organization in. I mean, the cover-up is just wildly obvious, and it's well documented at even left-wing mainstream media. There's something going on here, folks. Did it come from a wet market? Did it come from the, largest virology lab in Asia that just happens to be in Wuhan? Can you say it? No. Does that mean it didn't happen? No, it means they don't want you to talk about it. And the people who control the media are probably in cahoots with the people who work there and wouldn't want that type of information to get out. If not, they'd allow people to speculate and they'd just show proof. And then we'd all shut up and be like, okay, yeah, it came from a pangolin. You're totally right. But they don't seem to want to do that, do they? So that's what they're doing. And they act like everything's this wild conspiracy, like, oh, I mean, we didn't plan the event. No, you planned the response to the event. The Event 201 was planning the response to a coronavirus pandemic. So once they had one, they had the response ready. It wasn't a good response. Lockdowns, travel shutdowns, that was all planned. And they rolled it out because that's the plan they had. We're not saying you released the virus purposely. We're not saying you knew it was going to come out, but you did have a plan. And as soon as it came out, you implemented the plan. And I think the plan is BS. I think it killed more people than it saved. I think it hurt more people than it helped. I think the impact it's going to have on society for the next 10, 20 years with inflation, with economic destruction, with mental health crisis, treating the kids like slaves. This is just slavery rebranded as a public health crisis. And I don't really care anymore. I've been careful because I know how these little snakes operate with their fact checkers and their little commie, attitudes towards anybody who's more honest than them. But I think it's just slavery rebranded. And I'm not afraid to say it. It's convincing people that forced isolation, forced economic destruction, forced small business implosion, forced restaurant implosion, while big companies like Walmart, Amazon, Costco are allowed to stay open and thrive as your company dies. I don't think it's anything but slavery rebranded as a public health way to live. And you can't just hide from a virus. I've gotten sick 5 times when I was forced in my apartment. I've never been sicker in my life than when I was broke and in a little crappy apartment and I was forced to stay there because I had nowhere to go. And the government forced people to do that. Not everybody has a yard and a place to hike, especially if you live in a major city. And if you don't have a lot of money, you're forced to stay home with your multi-generational family. You're forced to stay home with your essential worker, father, mother, who has to go work a job. And then you can't really go anywhere, especially if you live in a dangerous neighborhood. It's not safe to walk around. I know what it's like because I've lived there. So you're forcing people into more poverty. You're forcing people into unhealthy lifestyles. You're taking away the gym. Gyms keep millions of people alive. Jobs. I know a lot of people that are drug addicts and have problems at home. It's their 9 to 5 that allows them to stay alive and they thrive in that environment because they get away from the home life. And the government took all that away and forced people inside. Amazon grew. Facebook, Google, all these companies were able to operate and everybody else couldn't. It's a total takeover. So Pitbull knows what he's talking about. Maybe a few details he was wrong about, but yeah, it's forced slavery. It's a total scheme of control. Recently, they went at Michael Porter Jr., who's an NBA player. He plays for the Nuggets. I'm just going to read what they said. This is the BS that the media is pushing. I have it on my Twitter. I'm just going to scroll down real quick. So this was from last year. I just found it, though. It says, Michael Porter Jr. sharing coronavirus conspiracy theories to speak about one of America's biggest problems. So they were smearing him as a conspiracy theorist. Even though I don't think he's ever publicly supported Trump, there's still these loser left-wing sports journalists who are calling him MAGA Porter Jr., which is kind of funny, but he's not even MAGA. They're trying to tell you, if you tell the truth, you're a Trump supporter. If you oppose any sort of tyranny, what are they telling you? They're telling you the left wing will not allow you to say any of this stuff. He's not even right wing, but he just said the truth. Here's what he said. He said, personally, I think the coronavirus is being used obviously for a bigger agenda. He said, it's being used for population control in terms of being able to control the masses of the people. I mean, because of the virus, the whole world is being controlled. And they smeared him in the article. That's not a theory. That's a fact. It is being used for control. You could say it's being used to control people for the better. I could say it's being used to control people for the worst. But what's undebatable in this conversation is it's being used to control people. The whole world is a control system now. Stand on that sticker. 5 people per limit. You can't go to the sports game. It's not what he said is such a raw fact. It's not even debatable. The debating part is we're controlling people for the better, for your health, or they're controlling people for the worst and they're screwing up. But the fact that they're using this virus for control, it's not debatable. That's a fact. He never said they planted the virus. He never said they meant for it to happen, but they're using its existence for control. It's a fact. And they're calling him MAGA and smearing him as a conspiracy theorist for saying something that's nearly impossible to disagree with because it's so obviously true no matter which side of the debate you're on. It's such a freaking joke. I'm going to read this tweet real quick from Matt Taibbi. I'm not quite sure who he is, but he tweeted something this morning that I thought was great about Glenn Greenwald. If you don't know who Glenn Greenwald is, he's on Tucker Carlson a lot, but he's actually like a gay, left-wing, progressive journalist who I think is like exiled to Brazil because of his reporting. But I actually like the guy. I mean, he's definitely got far left views when it comes to economics, which I don't agree with, and he's probably further left than Biden, but they always call him right-wing, even though he's not at all right-wing. And this tweet captured why they do it. It's a perfect tweet. He said, what people who call Glenn Greenwald, right winger, actually saying is that his views, opposition to monopoly surveillance, opposition to monopoly, opposition to surveillance, censorship, skepticism, and secret police agencies, belief in journalistic fairness are incompatible with current Democratic Party orthodoxy. That's exactly what they're saying. There's good and bad people on both sides, but if you tell the truth, like Michael Porter Jr., they call you MAGA Porter Jr. He's not even MAGA. He just told the truth about what they're doing. So they say you have to be right wing. Glenn Greenwald doesn't have a right wing bone in his body, but anytime he tells the truth about spying, surveillance, censorship, secret police agencies, journalistic fairness, just being honest and actually accurately reporting about both sides, they call him right wing. That's a message to you. You can't be honest on the left wing. The right has a lot of problems, but you can actually be real and people embrace it. The left is like allergic to the truth. They're allergic to reality. They're allergic to anything that's not just complete BS. And that's all translating spiritually to the world right now. They're enslaving the world. They're telling you, we don't like reality. Reality is going to a music concert. Fake world, fake 1984 world is watching it on a Zoom call because you're not allowed outside your house or else you're going to get arrested by the government. That's their world. Their fakeness is now translating to reality. We don't want you to breathe air. We don't want you to do anything. You just got to stay inside, and that's good for your health. Close down your gym. That's good for your health. Take down your basketball hoop. That's good for your health. Your kids can't play sports. That's good for your health. That's not good for your kids' health, and it has nothing to do with science. If science says that people can't play sports because the virus spreads in sports, then why is the NBA playing? Why is the NFL playing? Do you know why? Because they're billion-dollar industries. They're billion-dollar industries, and they can easily replace you with virtual fans and just get more sponsors. Now, when you watch the NBA, they have sponsors like soccer teams from UK all over their jerseys. They've replaced you in the fans with DraftKings and FanDuel advertisements, so they're probably not even losing that much money. They don't care if you're there or not. They'll replace you with AI and Oculus Rift halftime shows, and they won't lose a dollar. But they're not going to shut down professional sports because they're making a killing. Especially now that people can't do anything. So, but your kids, sorry, your kids aren't rich. Sorry, your kids don't make millions of dollars. The science doesn't say that the virus spreads in kids more than adults. It actually says the opposite. It doesn't say, well, your kids are greatly at risk, but LeBron James isn't. LeBron James makes $100 million or billions of dollars a year for these bigwigs, so they allow LeBron James to play. That's the science. You're a slave. He's just not, or kind of. I mean, they make you wear a mask. They fine you COVID protocols. You can't even, talk out half the time. If you say you want to be traded, they fine you. It's like they got crazy rules in the NBA too, but it's like he's a higher level person. You're not. That's what's going on, folks. It's like the science is so inconsistent. Oh, that you might have to get a third dose. How good is it? How well do you know this stuff? The emergency approved mRNA injection. How well do you know it? If you don't even know how many doses to take. Oh, well, two masks work now, says the CDC. The science of human faces and the science of covering your face hasn't changed in 100 years. I don't think it's changed in the last 200 years. So how bad are our experts? If it really was better to wear two masks, how stupid are they to not invent one mask that's in the shape of two? You don't have to wear two masks. If that was the real science, they would have two masks in the shape of one. Is it 2 times as thick? Then make one 2 times as thick. Is it 2 times as long, or is it the double protect? Then just make one mask instead of strapping 2 masks to your ears. It doesn't even make any sort of scientific or logical sense, but they don't have to because they have a monopoly on communication. So if anybody disagrees with them, they'll censor them, smear them, and fact check them. It makes no sense. Have human mouths and ears and facial structures changed drastically in the last 100 years? Maybe with plastic surgery in women and stuff, but besides that, no, this is not new inventing the fire. They're just bullshitting people and just moving the goalposts whenever they want because they have no, they don't have to care. If they mess up, oh well. If Cuomo messes up, oh well. They'll just divert attention away. It's such a joke. So overall, I'm going to get to some questions and hang out for a little bit, but AFP, I'm being fact-checked by a French agency by some loser who has way too much power, can't even get a friend or family member to like some of his comments on Twitter, yet he has power where he can influence and basically stand over millions of users that get billions of views aggregate or combined and decide when their monetization gets turned off, decides when they get a message that says, hey, we're going to threaten to unpublish your whole page. Hundreds of millions of views you've gotten, an audience and a network that you've built up over 10 years of working blood, sweat, and tears when you started from nothing and being broke and built a whole industry around this. We can just take it away because Arthur McMillan decided that he doesn't agree with your Pitbull post. I could blow this loser out of the water in a debate, but he doesn't have to debate me. He sits on his throne, is such a loser. He can't even get his friends or family members to like half of his statuses on Twitter, but he has the power to just shut off and censor people that he doesn't agree with. And this guy is no unbiased fact checker. If you go to his Twitter, he's the most anti-Trump person. He's even more unsufferable than the Young Turks. It's shocking that he gets to that position, but it's really not, because that's who they are. I mean, at least someone like a Glenn Greenwald, I don't even agree with most of his economic views, but he would do a damn better job as a left-winger being a fact checker because he's not a complete liar. Same with, I could think of dozens of left-wing people. I mean, Joe Rogan, I don't agree with everything, but he would do a better job of fact-checking than Arthur McMillan. This guy's like more insufferable. His Twitter reads like he's a 19-year-old barista who hates their parents and, went to Berkeley University to study how to be further left and reads the Communist Manifesto at bedtime. Like, that's what his Twitter reads like, and he's in control of billions of, views and determining who can and can't say stuff and what Pitbull means and what I mean. You don't know what I mean, bro. This live stream alone, what I just said in the last, 36 minutes is probably more impressive and more real than anything you've done in the last 20 years of your adult life. So suck it, bro. You could try to take away, censor, silence, whatever you want to do, cry victim when you can't figure out why people hate you because you're censoring everybody and not even good at it. It's like, it's a sad life to live. So I actually feel bad for him. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chats. I'll read a few now. Stay focused and great info. Thank you, Celia. Just Cuz says, it's my belief that America is no longer a republic, but now an oligarchy corporatism. They just want to keep the illusion of republic alive to keep common people in line. It's wild. I'm gonna do a post on my website, usaproductsonly.com. I have a top 10 video section. I'm going to update it today. The top one's going to be the Nixon JFK debate. It's fascinating. Like, JFK is more liberal, obviously. Nixon's more conservative, but the mutual respect, like JFK says something and Nixon is just totally honest about it. He says, listen, I agree with a lot of what you said, but this isn't what you did. And then, JFK says respectfully, I think you're a good person for your party. I'm like, the country was run much better back then. I'm just going to say it. It's like JFK definitely had some liberal views, but he was like, listen, we got to beat communism. We got to beat Russia. Our economy needs to be strong. Now they're saying we have to strangle our economy. If you don't let us strangle your economy, you're a racist, sexist, xenophobe, anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist who needs to be banned off the internet. It's like, how far times have fallen. Listening to JFK debate Nixon, he would be considered a far right-wing lunatic, just off the fact that he didn't hate the United States of America and appreciated the fact that if we weren't an economic powerhouse, our whole country was going to go to crap. Everybody's known that since the 1900s, 1800s, 2000s. This was the biggest debate topic for the last 100 years. If your economy falls, your whole country falls. And the COVID-19 response destroyed our economy and made it impossible to speak out about. So I'm not going to say everything Pitbull said was right, but he's totally right about the overall concept that this is communism. They're using the virus, whether they knew it or not, to implement communism. It's not even debatable. That's what they're doing. They're destroying our economy. They're destroying our country. They're destroying our media. They're trying to ruin and censor and pressure anybody that speaks outside the norm of not wanting to lose everything and become a new age slave. Social distancing, you mean forced isolation, 15 days to slow the spread. You mean a year to destroy the American economy? And every example that they have of countries that opened up early, like Nepal, they're blown away. They had better results than they've had since August, when everybody, the nightclubs are packed. No one's even talking about COVID anymore because they're worried about their economy. And guess what, folks? We're going to do that here in America too. As soon as the inflation sets in and the supply and demand and all the supply chains ruined and all the mental health problems and all the school problems, once that all sets in a year or so, either we're just going to be full-blown slaves, but hopefully the better end is people are going to stop thinking about this at all and things are going to go back to normal. And when they do, there's not going to be this crazy spike that they said. And then they're going to say the vaccine did it. They're going to say, oh, you got herd immunity from the mRNA vaccine. You know, the one that we're not even sure if 2 or 3 doses matters. I mean, the science is so settled that we can't even tell you how many doses to get. And we change how many masks to wear every other month, even though the science of masks and human faces and, breathing hasn't changed in the last 200 years. So what is it? Are you lying to us, or are you the most incompetent scientists on the planet? Because, any competent scientist has been smeared by the media. If you look up Watson and Crick, I forget which one, if it was Watson or Crick, but they pretty much stripped him of all his awards and honor because he said something and they called it racist. So that's an actual scientist who discovered DNA. I don't know, just the best discovery maybe of the last 50, 100 years in that type of science. And he can't even talk anymore because, they call him a racist. What about Luc Montagnier, who discovered HIV? He's got a Nobel Prize because what's the last big discovery in virology? I would say it's probably HIV. It's probably one of the only or major impressive accomplishments in the last 30 years. He's getting censored and called a conspiracy kook. Oh, he's a conspiracy kook because he has proof that this virus isn't what they said it is. Look it up. I can't even talk about it here. Was he a conspiracy theorist when he discovered HIV? No, he's a creative, unique scientist. If the Wright brothers were here and they said they could build a plane, they'd call him a conspiracy theorist. You can't build a plane. We don't have that type of technology. Henry Ford says we can only drive. No, it's settled science. These people are evil. Oh, hey guys, I invented fire. Rub 2 sticks together. It's like the original cavemen who invented fire. Oh my God, they're right-wing nuts. They're right-wing nuts. They have fire. Oh my God, it reminds me of Charlotte. This is who these people are. Anybody that's innovative, anybody that's creative, anybody that's honest, accurate, smarter than them, more, I guess, ahead of their time, they censor, silence, smear, and act like they're the king of the castle. Meanwhile, they're so pathetic and so unlikable in their own personal life that literally nobody cares about what they have to say. So the only power that they have is flexing in their position of shutting others down. And then they wonder why people don't like them. I don't know, maybe change your life. Stop being such a horrible person and stop being such a censor. It's like, I would expect people to hate me if I did that too. I know, hard thing. I actually built everything from ground up without a corporation, without an influential thing. So it's all real. It's all organic. These people live a fake life, a fake world, surround themselves with fake people. And the second that they tell the truth, they become the enemy of all their friends. I don't envy what they have at all. I don't want it. I live peacefully because I don't have to deal with that stuff. But if you live in a fake world, what happens when you get real? Everybody hates you, like they hate Glenn Greenwald on the left. And I don't know what they plan to do. Now all the SJW pronouns in bio are turning on Governor Cuomo, because he probably wasn't that nice of a person, and he probably used his power of position to be a jerk to a lot of people. And now it's all coming out, and all the progressives are turning on him. They don't like Biden. They don't like Cuomo. They don't like the mayor of Portland. These left-wingers are out for blood. And as soon as they realize that it's not, these grandiose ideas of communism and socialism don't give any power to them, they're going to freak out. So, I pray for both sides of that debacle because it's ugly in Portland and it's ugly on both sides. But there's going to be a huge disconnect eventually as soon as the Trump storm settles, where the progressive socialist communists are never going to like the Biden, Cuomo, Democrat establishment types, because the Democrat establishment types are just using their ideology to gain money, power, and control. And these people on the back end, they think that they're going to get some sort of like benefit from it. And as soon as they realize they're not, they're going to freak out. And it happens every time socialism and communism comes to a country. Nobody goes at each other harder than these people. They're not loyal because their whole reality is based on falsities. I mean, the Democrat establishment, it's all hide behind media, lies, double talk, double standards. And the progressives are all like emotions, fake social justice, fake environmentalism, fake reality, fake ideas, thinking that giving the government all this power is going to trickle down to you. So at a certain point, there's going to be a disconnect, and it's already happening. Someone said 1,100 watching. Well, there's 1,100 on YouTube, and there's 1,600 on Facebook. So we got almost 3,000 people live, or we did at a certain point. All right, let's read some comments. Someone said the sheeple will never realize it. Look at Jimmy Dore. He still thinks the Democrats are worth voting for. Yeah, Jimmy Dore is an interesting character. I think, I get what he's thinking. He's thinking, we spend all this we spend all this money overseas. We should have money for healthcare. We should have money for this. In that extent, I agree with him. But what he doesn't realize, all of these people agree with socialism and communism. They're not going to say it publicly like, oh, I'm a communist, but they like socialism. They think Karl Marx was this like revolutionary. I'm not saying Jimmy Dore, but I can almost imagine he's probably like, yeah, that's a good idea. If you read the Communist Manifesto, Jimmy Dore, anybody who follows him, if you read it honestly, go to the part. I'm going to read it again. I bring it up a lot. They have 10 things listed right here. I always highlight them. Here's a few of them. Abolition of property and land, confiscation of property, centralization of credit into the hands of the state, a national bank, total control over the money, centralization of the means of communication and transportation into the hands of the state. Jimmy Dore hates the government. Glenn Greenwald doesn't like the government. He doesn't trust the government. So why do they think socialism and communism, giving more power and control, eventually their goal is total power and control? How is giving that to Chris Cuomo and Joe Biden and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, how is that going to bring you free healthcare? It's not. It's a total scam, and free healthcare is not free because they tax you. In California, they have free healthcare. They cost $1,000 a month, a couple $1,000s a year. You can't opt out of it. It doesn't even work for anything. It's just, it doesn't, the best healthcare the government can do is just leave me alone at this point. It's nice to go to a hospital, of course, but this is like, oh, communist healthcare. Look, we're taking care. They just don't leave you alone. It's like COVID. It's like, thanks. If you need to build new Javits Center things, that's fine. But the government's so incompetent. Cuomo put infected patients back into nursing homes. They built Javits Center. They brought in a ship. They didn't even use the ship or the Javits Center, and he shoved a bunch of people into nursing homes. That's big government for you. They don't do anything. They're even worse than corporations. But they're both bad. I get it. But yeah, I don't know what these people are thinking or when they're going to learn. But it's not really my problem. Thank you, Pancakes and Syrup. Someone said all cars make racist noises. Yeah, I don't know about that. I can't co-sign that comment, but that's kind of funny. Someone said I have private healthcare and it was cut in half with Trump. I have private healthcare and it was cut in half with Trump. That was one thing I think he fell short on is, he said, in my second term, I'll do something with healthcare, but I don't think he really knew what to do, to be honest. Am I Peruvian? No. I'm Italian, Puerto Rican, Polish, and Czechoslovakian. But I certainly can't be called racist by people on the left that say, my skin tone was hard growing up with. And I look at them and they're like 5 shades whiter than me. I'm like, am I missing something? But, I don't discriminate here. I just find it shocking when they're like, you don't know what it's like to be as dark as me. And I look at them, I'm like, I'm darker than you. I don't understand what you're talking about. But someone said my nose is Peruvian. That's kind of funny. What was the fact check in the Pitbull video? Well, I just read over it. It was like a straw man argument, really. That's what they do. Every time they fact check me, they make a straw man argument and argue with the thing that I never said. I just covered what he said. But they've done this before. I've posted literally, I'm not even joking. I have 3 videos on it. I've got fact checked for posting CDC stats from a CDC article posted by Ron DeSantis with it. I got fact checked for posting NBC News, quoting the CDC directly. And then it says, fact check, the CDC never said this. You're fact checking a CDC post saying the CDC never said it. Well, Trump's fact check, Trump said that the flu is no more deadly. Okay, I didn't say that. I never even said that. What are you talking about? I didn't even say that. I don't know how they get away with it because they don't care. When I used to have a connection at Facebook, now I don't anymore. They ignore me. But I used to say, hey, they made a mistake. I posted the CDC and they said the CDC never said that. They said, oh, it's not us doing it at Facebook. So you're letting a government, or you're letting a French agency fact check me, and then they let them on their site. They let them just run rampant. And then they say, oh, no, it's not us. It's the fact checker. And then I email the fact checker and they won't change it. These people's egos are through the roof and they wonder why they get a lot of hate mail. I don't think they should. Nobody should hate, but I'm just saying, it's like, I wonder why people don't like you, because your customer service is non-existent. You make a mistake, I can prove they made a mistake. It's not even debatable. They said a CDC post, Ron DeSantis quotes the CDC and links the CDC. I take a screenshot of it. It's literally the CDC website, and it says, fact check, the CDC never said that. So I hit up Facebook and I say, hey, you're cutting my page reach. You're taking away my income. They've decimated my income. I've lost 6 figures off of the money that they've pretty much washed away and then gave back, and it was whatever. But anyway, so I hit them up. And I say, hey, Facebook, they made a mistake. I'm sure you could change it pretty quickly because it's an obvious mistake. It's the CDC, and they're saying the CDC never said that. Oh, it's not us. We don't do it. It's the fact checker article. So I email the fact checker article, and they say, oh, we've determined that we're not going to change it because it's not a big violation. It's a small one, and we're just research. It's like, these people are such snakes. Their customer service doesn't exist. They're so fake. I feel bad for them. It's no way to live life. They're like, every day people get mad at me because you're a loser, because you're a liar, because you work for the establishment and you don't do a good job. And if you had to compete on the internet and make your own YouTube channel or Facebook page and be interesting and fair and accurate and impressive, I'd blow you out of the water 10 times out of 10. So would thousands of other users. I mean, I do my own editing. I do my own lighting. I do my own sound. I work 20 times harder than these people, get more results, and then they hunch over me, lie about me, refuse to correct it. They are tyrants. And they fact check a video about communism to say they're not doing communism by not allowing people to say they're doing communism. Oh, real convincing. These people are sick. Whatever. I'm grateful. I'm here. Life is good. I'm getting pretty strong, way too jacked for the gulag. So even if I go to the gulag, I don't want to go. I don't deserve to go. But, if those times come and they start rounding up people, just give me a basketball hoop and some weights and I'm fine. I don't really care at this point. They've turned the whole country into a gulag. Just give me some. Let's see. Just give me some weights and a basketball hoop and it's whatever. I'll figure it out. I'm not scared. I'm just getting more and more jacked. That's all I can do. Fact check, I work out. I suggest they work out. If they worked out and they stopped posting conspiratorial yoga videos or whatever, I think they'd be a lot happier, but I don't know. Someone said, what about the snow in Texas? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not in Texas. All I know is what you've seen on YouTube. I can't really speak on it. So let's see. Reno said, it's interesting to see which foreign country owns a lot of our media, newspaper, cable, Hollywood, production companies, etc. It is interesting, isn't it? Eric said, fact checkers were created by the very same establishment to silence their moves. Oh, for sure. I like a good fact check as far as if someone posts something totally fake. It's annoying that they're doing it, but there's a lot of fake people. There's a lot of fake posters on the left. There's a lot of fake posters on the right. I watched a bunch of right-wing posters post a fake article about Ron DeSantis last week, and I'm thinking to myself, guys, stop. You're way too big of an account to be falling for something so stupid. So if they actually just stuck to what was real and what was not, that's 100% fake. We can 100% prove it. Stop being dumb. I wouldn't mind that. But it's they're well, technically, I don't agree with your analysis. I know you don't. That's why no one cares what you're saying, and everybody cares what I'm saying. I get it. Yeah, you don't agree, and I don't agree with you. Let me do my thing. You do your thing. I wouldn't even know who you were if you didn't annoy me. It's I'm not stopping you from being you, but you're stopping me from being me because you can't be me. And you're a liar. And you're oh, Trump's tower got demolished. You're never going to be happy. If you jump with joy when Trump's buildings get demolished in Atlantic City, you're living vicariously through your hate for Trump. It's not healthy. It's not healthy to hate AOC that much. It's not healthy to hate Trump that much. It's not healthy to hate Pelosi that much. Drop the hate out of your heart, lift some weights, and you probably won't be so far left. All right, I'm going to stay for 5 more minutes. I'm going to I might try to cut this under an hour because it looks it looks sleek like that, and it's not as hard to watch. So I want to give a few updates real quick. USA products only. We've added 20, 30 businesses so far. I'm working overtime. It looks great. There's a lot of cool businesses, toothbrush businesses, woodworkers. Like if you want something unique for your house, there's Etsy accounts and all sorts of cool stuff. I'm trying to build one of the biggest databases in the US of USA made products, not just USA made products, but your businesses, small businesses, things that are underrated, because there's so many cool stuff on Etsy, this, that. So we're compiling, we're building, we're already generating sales for people. USAProductsOnly.com. And if you go to USAProductsOnly.com, there's one section, it's called Anomalies Top Videos. I'm going to update it today to the 10 videos. I just thought it was a cool part of the section every week or once every 2 weeks or so. I'm going to put 10 new videos, and just these are videos that I watch. Like in the videos are going to be the Nixon Kennedy debate. It's very interesting. The Facebook, Zuckerberg thing that dropped, I talked about, that'll be there. Some of the weird, like New York City propaganda videos they're putting out, like de Blasio and Cuomo, just stuff like that. Things that I thought were interesting or watch worthy this week. Top 10 posts on there. Pretty cool. I thought it was a fun way to share with you guys. Someone said, have a great evening. Don't fear, just stay true. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. I'm going to read this. Someone said, I grew up a very dark brown guy. For a second, I thought you were going to say you like changed into a white person or something, but that's not your story. I'm going to read your story. But when I read the first part, I was like, is he going to turn not brown at the end of the story? But hold on. No, this is a comment. I'm just going to read it. Sorry. Jokes aside. I grew up a very dark brown guy. Every time I encountered any kind of racism, it only made me stronger. With just a junior college degree, I forged a high-paying career. Whining gets you nowhere. God bless you. I love that story. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, you got to make the most of your situation. Where I agree. I mean, I'm very grateful. I don't have the same story as you, but things that were harder when I was younger, I'm kind of grateful for, because I feel like there's a pro and a con to everything. If you have it really easy, if your parents are super, super nice, but they're too nice, then sometimes, you just stay in the basement till you're 50 because you don't really want to move because they're so nice. Where if, it's like everything's a balance. So you got to be grateful for your parents. You got to be grateful for what you had, grateful for the struggles and grateful for the easy times, and then move forward. I think people who get stuck in the past or stuck on certain things and start like playing the victim, it's never good. Whether it's your parents, like, oh, they were so mean, or these people are so mean. It's like, I'm not saying it's great, but at a certain point, just use it for fuel. Be like, hey, I don't want to be here, so I want to work 10 times as hard so I have my own place or something. That's all you really can do. So that definitely changed my life when I hit the 20s. I stopped reflecting on all the things I felt bad for myself over. And then that really ruined my career early on too. I feel like I was like, oh, I don't have this. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have music industry connections. And then I had this moment where I was like, you know what, but I have a cell phone. I have this. I'm grateful to be alive. And that's a game changer. So thank you for sharing the story. What's up with the power companies in Texas burning their customers? I don't know. I really don't know. Having two sides that are so bad is like the worse the left gets, the right probably just they like follow them. I feel that was my one kind of critique for the Republican Party, even under Trump. But people were like under the spell. They didn't want to think it. Like the left gets crazier, and the right just kind of like moves with them. And a lot of these people are just, in order to be there, sometimes you work with the energy company, you strike deals, you get your friends deals, you do, things where you contract your friends. This happens on both sides of politics, not just the left wing, but who knows what really happened? Was it the wind turbines? Was it the energy company? Was it both? Was it a combination of everything? Why was the infrastructure not better? I don't know. I mean, I've read a lot of stuff, but I'm not really sure. All right, I'm going to take off to keep it under an hour because I feel like if someone sees 59 minutes, it's less scary to watch. So I'll be back soon. I'm going to have more videos, but just a few links real quick. A lot of people saw my live stream because they're in my Telegram chat, Dream Rare Chat, or t.me/Dream Rare Chat. You can find it in the description or the title of both of these videos. thank you to people who signed up there. It's really convenient, and I could just single shot you like my new videos and just like important messages and stuff. Pretty convenient. I like it. Stayintouchwithme.com, my free email list. USAproductsonly.com. Check that out. And we're starting a news section. We have a top video section. I'm going to update that tonight. And have a good weekend. I'll be back. I have a big video I'm working on and a lot of other stuff. I'm still writing my book and such, and I'm going to try to get that done. Thank you for being here. And I had a good time today. Hopefully you did as well. Hopefully they don't see this and get salty and start censoring me more, because that's a possibility, but whatever. I don't really care. Have a good day. I'll be back, and have a fantastic weekend. Let me see. And stream.